Gone are the days of doing presentations and creating them manually. Whether you're hiring someone, whether this is for a pitch deck, whether this is for a sales presentation, maybe for a meeting, or any other way that you typically use slides in your life or professional life, you do not need to do any of that anymore. You can have this fully automated and delegated off to AI agents. And specifically in this video, we're going to be talking about how you can use Claude Design to create beautiful presentations with strong prompts to get you the output that make it look like you hired a professional designer to create it. On top of it, I'm going to even argue to say that this is going to be probably way better than you probably could have done this yourself. So in this video, I'll show you what Claude Design is, how to use it, how to prompt it very effectively, and how to have beautiful slide presentations come out by simply knowing how to use the tool. So let's dive right into the computer. I'll show you how this all works, and then I'll show you an example of what a potential output from Claude Design can look like. All right, like I said, we're going to be using Claude Design. So how do you access this, by the way? So first off, you have to have a Claude subscription. So if you're not in Claude or you're not subscribed, I'm not sure if you'll be able to access this, but it's currently in preview. So when you press this design button here, you're going to be taken to Claude Design, which is right here. And just FYI for people who don't know what this tool is, from my understanding, looking to make it as easy as possible to create visuals. So whether it's for mockups, whether it's presentations, whether it's anything related to design, whether it has something to do with UI, mobile app experiences, it could be web app experiences. As you can see here are a few examples. It could be components. I believe it could also be for SVG. So as you can see here, there's a bit of different examples that Claude has already provided for us in terms of like giving some inspiration. And then I believe when you click it, let's see if I click it. Oh, they actually provide the prompt right here. That's what I meant. So you can also see the prompts of like how did the Claude team use or what the Claude team did in order to create this sort of output as a sort of inspiration. Now, when it actually comes to like what we're going to be doing in terms of like how you can build beautiful presentations, there's two components to it. First off is you need a super strong research document or file of like what are the contents going to be. So I'm a huge believer that if you are coming in prepared really effectively, you're going to have beautiful outputs because your outputs are just as good as your inputs. So if you have really strong inputs, you're going to have amazing outputs. So the first thing you want to do is have a research document, very clear, very to the point, as detailed as possible of all the contents that you are looking to create. So in this case, if say you are doing a pitch deck, so I'll show you a live actual working example of like what it looks like and what the outputs are in terms of like how thorough they are. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a investor pitch deck for a agent startup. And I'll show you the thoroughness of say the research and then also the prompt of how you can actually have an effective piece of output. I mean, nonetheless, even if you try to one-shot it, Claude is going to cook something up and it's still going to be amazing, but not as thorough and specific to what you may be looking for. So that's why it's very important to have super strong prompts. So here, I'm currently in Cursor. I mean, you don't have to do this in Cursor. You could do it anywhere. You could just do it in your chat interface on ChatGPT, on Claude.com, desktop app, whatever. It doesn't matter. I just did it here. So I'll just kind of show you what I did and I'll explain my thinking behind it. So the very first thing, obviously, you want to do is have a research source of truth somewhere. I don't know where it is. It could be a Google Sheet. It could be a Google document. It could be a folder. It could be a directory. It could be a bunch of images. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as you can somehow fetch the context and then paste it into chat, that's all we really need. So here, we're just going to be using a markdown file as the single source of truth. But for instance, for you, if you have, say, design principles, if you have design components, if you have some sort of directory where there's a lot of context about who you are, your branding, your positioning, all that stuff, you want to include that as context. Here in this case, we're just literally going to use a markdown file. So here, what I did was I got Claude to fabricate a fictional startup idea as a investor pitch deck. So what we did here was we went out there and based on neuroscience and some new technological advancements that are coming out right now in AI, I told the AI to be like, hey, can you research the market? Can you go out there and also create something based on best practices for startups on the best way how to create pitch decks when it comes to, say, raising capital for any new startup idea. But in your case, it could be for anything, whether say you're trying to do a sales deck, you're trying to do some sort of visualizer explanation of data that you're working with, you have to present to a team or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It all follows the same principles that what you want is you want to prompt the AI to go out there to research the best structure, the best practices. And from there, after all that research, it comes out back with a super strong output. I would also go as far as to argue that if you want to make this even more cracked and powerful, you should probably use one of these research capabilities inside of, say, like Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, where it can research a formal document of, say, anything you need to consider for your presentation. So best practices in terms of creating the slide so it's effective. Maybe say you're trying to sell a prospect. So best practices on selling, copywriting, marketing, language, visualizers, and then how to structure it correctly, how to tell a story. Maybe you even say you communicate your story through the slides itself. And then from there, it's going to research not only the structure, but also the actual information in addition to any context you also provide. So which is why we're going to be providing this markdown file. So here's the idea. It's going to be a fictional neuroscience startup idea that we're going to be pitching to investors. That's going to be the ultimate deck we're looking to create. And then from here, I also told Claude to basically create me a prompt where I can pretty much paste in the same exact thing I just mentioned to you here. I'm just going to move myself real quick, but this is the full entire prompt of what we're looking to paste into Claude Design. So as you can see here, it created like this this prompt of giving it a sort of identity. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to paste this into Claude Design. It says also to paste the markdown file here. So we're going to do that in just a second. So I'm going to create a new project. I'm calling it Cortex. I mean, that's what the AI came up with. So what we're going to do here is, as you can see here, so I'm just going to move myself real quick once again. As you can see here, it's asking for context, all right? You can attach code base, screenshots, design systems, Figma files, whatever. So in this case, we're literally just going to be pasting the text. So I pasted the prompt right here, as you can see. And I guess Claude already has make a deck selected because I selected earlier design deck. And then as we got here, it's the markdown file of what we're looking to build. So I just uploaded it right here through file attachment. And now all you literally have to do is press send. It's actually crazy. You just got to let Claude cook. So it's just going to start. And then from there, once it's actually done creating, you can modify, you can send more prompts, you can export it. But we're just going to wait and see what it does. And then we'll be able to preview it in just a moment. All right, I had to unpause myself real quick, but Claude said some interesting info right here. It was like, store bread in the freezer tastes better when it's warmed up from being frozen, which is strange. But anyway, just sidetracking. Useful tip for the day. All right, so like I said, when I said this thing's going to cook something up, this shit really did cook something up. So check this out. So we're just going to walk through the whole entire presentation of what this thing just created. So I think it's still cooking and finishing up the remainder. So I'm just going to wait till the AI finishes. I just want to make sure everything is completed here because it seems like it's still doing something over here. But I mean, nonetheless, this is incredible, even so far, what we got. And one thing I wanted to mention, that when you're using Claude Design, it does not eat into your actual Claude subscription. There is a separate usage limit for Claude Design. So it's going to be eating into that itself, not the actual primary usage you'd be using on Claude Desktop. So just letting you know in case you may be wondering, but this thing does eat up a lot of tokens because this thing is pretty cost heavy in terms of like the design and like everything it's doing, but it's finishing up here. So I'm just going to wait once it's finished up and it's verified everything on its own end, because I still see here that it's like trying to like verify through, I guess you can say like its own little terminal computer or its own little virtual computer, virtual machine, whatever. All right, so we're good. This thing's good, verified, whatever. So other than a few minor design tweaks, you can easily prompt the AI to like go back and forth and fix it. I mean, let's look at the final output. I mean, this is insane. Look at this. You saw me what I did. I didn't even create the prompt. I didn't even create the research. I mean, you can, and obviously you want to have this thing be as accurate as possible, but the more context you can give this thing, the better the output's going to be. I mean, check this out. So this thing created the startup idea called Cortex, right? And here it created a whole entire proper framework in terms of how to present the slides to investors. It created its own design principles, its storyline, the market research, all that stuff. And this is all real research, right? I don't know how accurate it is. I did not verify it, but I mean, nonetheless, let's check it out real quick. So it goes through a proper framework of like problem, the solution. Cortex simulates how human brain responds to creative in seconds, not weeks. So based on some new technology that is coming out, it created like a startup idea based on this, built on the most accurate brain encoding model ever open sourced. So, if you don't know, Meta recently released this GitHub repository, or what it does is it shows how the brain lights up to creatives online. So we pretty much made and created a fictional startup idea based on this new GitHub repo for researchers that Meta has released, and it pretty much created a startup idea from it, right? So what the market opportunity is, a $48 billion category at its founding moment, and like what the TAM is, what the product is going to be, and how it actually looks like, what actually looks like using it, what kind of traction there is, right? Business model, how this thing will get to revenue, competitive landscape. So I don't know if this is real or not, but who the team is, right? So these are all just fake people. And obviously the ask, what the ask is, how much the team is trying to raise. So by the way, this is all right. I created it obviously for this demo example, but this could literally be for any sort of slide presentation that you're looking to create. And it's easy as literally just prompting the AI or here in Claude Design in terms of what you want to change, whether something is not true, whether you want to add more context. It doesn't matter what it is. You can even have the AI to create your own prompts. But that's really it, right? It doesn't matter what kind of slides or presentations you're creating. You need a few core components. You obviously need the primary outline of what you're looking to build. So based on best practices, research. So I recommend just say giving this thing multiple components of research. So on how to actually present it effectively, the best structure, what should be included into it, and then the actual contents itself. And then from there, design principles, UI, how you want this thing to present, what should the call to action be? Is there going to be a call to action? What's the main message you're looking to get out of it? And then from there, once you basically craft this all into the prompt, and something that is really good I'd like you to prompt and experiment with is when you tell the AI to be very verbose. So when it's very verbose and detailed, it's going to make it as detailed as possible in terms of everything. And if anything, ask it to be like, hey, did I miss anything? Is there anything else to consider before we fetch it, before we actually start creating this thing? Because the more detailed and stronger of an output you have, the more effective and better your presentation is going to be. So that'll be all. This is how we were using Claude Design, but this could literally be for any sort of outline, slide, presentation, or whatever. And you can even experiment and go as far as doing other designs and different visual mockups that you can think of to work with this tool. But nonetheless, this is how you can create effective presentations with AI with simple plain English. Plain English is a new coding. I'm a huge preacher on having clear, strong, effective communication. So the clearer your communication is, how you translate ideas, the better your output is going to be. So that'll be all for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in another one.